about Parajumbles. So the session's name is Stepping Stones to Parajumbles. So uh, we understand that Parajumbles, let me select the pen. Alright, so when we talk about the word para, it takes us to a paragraph. Jumble takes us to a situation where the order is disturbed. That is jumble, right? Fine. So we are moving towards understanding and how to overcome the sentences which are jumbled and how to place them in a perfect order to make a coherent paragraph. Coherent means a paragraph which has a logical sequence. So, dear friends, you are listening to or you're watching this video, this session by Rakesh Kumar Sharma, and this person has scored 99.6 percentile on CAT, and on GRE he has scored 330 out of 340. The link which is given here, that is unacademy.com at slash at Rakesh Kumar Sharma 5663. If you follow this link, you can reach to my page on Unacademy. Fine. So moving forward, I have few things to suggest to say that could be considered as that if you are the already on Unacademy, that means if you have already joined Unacademy CAT course, then I would want you to follow my courses regularly, right? And my courses are there, the regular courses. They are run at or they are broadcasted at 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. Right? You can come to my special classes. They are at 12:30 p.m. and 10 p.m. YouTube session, that is at 6 p.m. or at 8 p.m. So you're watching this 6 p.m. session. Also, I want that you suggest your friends to subscribe to Unacademy and learn with ease, right? You would be able to help your friends to save their time, and you all can utilize that extra time which you invest on your traveling, etc., to discuss something which turns out to be important, right? There are times when psychoanalysis is required on attempting questions. There are some of the individuals, some of the students, they do the psychoanalysis during the exam where it is not required at all, right? Everything, if you want to think deeper, etc., what all you want to do, it should be done beforehand, right? So that you can manage that pressure cooker situation during the exam. Fine. So, saying all that, your friends can, if you want to help your friends to subscribe Unacademy, what is that they can do? They can download this Unacademy app, right? And they can look for CAT there, right? They can look for CAT. I wish to use a pen. So, okay. So they can use this cat there, they can type in this, and or if they see that there is a drop down menu, they can select cat from that drop down menu, right? After doing so, they would reach this particular window, this one, right? So they will reach this window, this one, right? So they can, if they have any kind of confusion, they can chat with the Unacademy people, right? And they have all these benefits, very crucial ones, right? All these four benefits, right? 30 plus hours of live sessions every day, right? In a day, you only have 24 hours, right? And there are structured courses in English and Hindi, 34 plus top educators. There are new courses which are published every month, right? So according to your need, what is that you really want to do, you can subscribe to or you can follow those particular courses. You can ask your friends to do that as well. And when you all are at the same page, you can discuss more, right? You can help each other. So further, they can, if they're completely clear, they can move towards this get subscription. This is your step 3, right? And they have to select one of these programs, right? So they can either go for 1 month program, 3 months program, a 6 month program, a 12-month program, or a 24-month program, right? After they have selected one according to their choice, they can click on continue, right, and can move further, right? So here it will ask to fill in the billing information, right? It'll ask to fill in the details. So your friend would have to add his mail ID here, right? He would have to select his state, and then he would have to type in his contact number, right? The present cost, this is a cost for the full 1 year program, 12 months program, right? But it is not necessary that you go for a 12-month program. You can also go for 1 month program or 3 months program, whatever that suits your need, right? So accordingly your friend would be charged. So you can guide them, and if you are already there on Unacademy, you would also be very clear with this, that how to join here, right? Now the real thing that comes here is this one, right? This one is the real thing for which I also want your help, right? So I want you to suggest your friends to use this referral code which has been mentioned here, right? Rakesh for CAT, right, to get 10% discount. Now if we talk about the full 1 year program, the total fee would go down here, right? It says 17,500. So if you calculate it, it'll be this, right? 10%. So 1750, right? So 1000. So you can say 16,000. Subtract further 750, right? So you will, I mean, your friend will have to pay just 15,250, right? That'll be the total cost, right? So if you look at this 15 to 50 for one complete year, it is 1/5 of what we normally pay in our offline coaching institutes, right? Plus we would have to go to that particular place, and then we will we will have to sit inside there, then we will study, right? At times, you may not be happy with a certain teacher, but the teacher would not be changed, etc. All such things may happen there. Anyways, so if you're there on an academy and you're not able to follow what is suggested by one educator, you can shift to the another one, and you have the India's top most educators, right? You have Arun Sharma here, right, on an academy, right? You can have access to his classes, right? What he teaches. So you have a lot of liberty here, right? So there's a freedom to learn here, right? Well, this slide talks about who am I, right? So my name is Rakesh Kumar Sharma. You already know I have 14 plus years of experience. So many of my students, they are sitting abroad in the US, right? UK, Canada, etc. So I've helped many of the students. I mean, if I say US, UK, this number would be approximately 4,000 plus, right? These many students, they are sitting abroad, right? There are many who have reached IIMs, etc. There are many who qualified NMAT, SNAP, right? So different students who qualified different exams, and they are doing great in their careers. I have delivered sessions at a Time Delhi, right? And recently I got a call from one student at Time Delhi that whatever that words I'm talking about. So I was taking his vocabulary classes. So he said that whatever that I taught, I gave him my notes. So he said that everything appeared from those notes. So I felt very happy. I have two certificates. One is Train the Trainer. This is by British Council, right? And I have the another certificate that is from this Duke University. I have these interests and I wish to devote my life to these interests, improving India's rank on happiness index and preserving Indian ethos and culture. On CAT, I scored 99.6 percentile, and on GRE, I scored 330. Moving further, we are moving towards the Parajumbles. So, what are the different kinds of Parajumbles we may see? So, we may have this could be considered as a type 1, where we have 4 to 5, uh, where we have 4 or 5 sentences, given to us, and they could be jumbled. So they may appear to us like this: 1, 2, 3, and 4, or uh, or 5 till here, right? Or they may appear to us as A, B, right, C, D, right, and then E, right? So one of these things may happen. Okay, so I just wish to check who all are there online. So we have Anoop. Hi, Anoop. So what we observe here further is that there can be one sentence which is given to us which turns fixed, that is last sentence here, right, which remains fixed, and there can be some sentences here, 1, 2, 3, 4, like this, which could be jumbled. So let's move forward. This is the one that I was talking about, that sentence 1, right? The first sentence remains fixed, and the last sentence as well, sentence 6, it also remains fixed. In the middle, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, or A, B, C, D, right? We are going to the questions further. So 3 or 5 sentences and one odd one out. So now this is the main thing, right? So how do we deal with our parajumbles or odd one out? So the first thing that you would do is you will read very carefully, right? So read, then you may hide the entire information which is given to you. You'll try to recall 4 or 5 words from whatever that you have read, summarize the entire information in your mind, right? You can assess the writing style, uh, that whether the information moves from general to specific or from specific to general. This specific to general is very rare, right? So, but it could be that, right? It is rare. So you can say that you want to formulate your plan majorly on the basis of this, right? If you are good with the summary making, right, all the sentences are already organized in your mind. But this situation would be reached only by one person who has already attempted or has read well, already has done these questions a lot. Moving further, we have here how to summarize, right? So what would be our summary structure, right? So we'll say, or this can also help us to prepare. We can say mandatory pairs, right? Compulsory pairs, right? So when we talk about mandatory pairs, this is what we are going to observe there, right? So first we will keep our fact and then we'll include the example, right? How do we really write anything? A paragraph, if we look at, right, on the paragraph you have some fact detailed, and only then the author will give you example, right? So fact and then example, fact and then analogy, right? Basically the basic purpose would be to elaborate the given fact. There would be cause and then the effect. That kind of relationship we would be considered as one ideal relationship. Also, we say that one kind of information would be kept together. If the author has started talking about what happens in the world, and then he comes to India, now whatever that he is talking about India, we would want that he finish that entire thing about India and then goes to Pakistan or then goes to some other country, right? So one kind of information together. If the author has started talking about terrorism and then India, Pakistan, etc., right? So we would want that that entire information related to terrorism is clubbed together. Then if he moves to religion or employment or unemployment, etc., illiteracy, then according to those particular pointers, right, he can have his information compiled together. So that is the meaning of one kind of information together. In a very simple words, if you consider a situation where uh, how different spices, condiments, etc., are organized in your home, right? You will say that they all are placed together at one place. If your mother has given you a task to organize the entire house, right, and you happen to uh, place, say, your uniform inside the refrigerator, your uh, your your mother's jewelry, say, outside the main gate, right? Uh, the container that has salt, right? That is near the mandir, right? And say turmeric, you know, chili powder, etc. They are placed in the shoe rack. Your mother said that, organize the entire home. Now she returned. Now you can expect what will happen, what she would do. Why? Because you're not keeping one kind of thing together, right? You're scattering it, right? You have jumbled that. So to make it clear, you have to uh, bring one kind of thing together, right? So that's very simple thing, right? So we are going to move towards the next thing, that is exploration of patterns to create strategies. So we're going to observe certain patterns now, right? And believe me, if you have done this, right, all these this could be act as your revision class, right? Here also we would do certain questions. If you have not done parajumbles in the past, right, or you fear parajumbles, this class will help you a lot in overcoming your fear on Parajumbles odd one out questions. Okay, so we have some statements here, right? So the first statement that we see is that Dr. Kalam was not just an eminent scientist, but also a great author who authored great books. So we see here that there is Dr. Kalam, a name, right? Noun. If I say noun, it means that I'm talking about name, either a name or a place, right? Or an animal or a thing, right? We all have played this game in our childhood. So noun is nothing but name, place, animal, thing. So I'm seeing this Dr. Kalam here as one name. So it is a noun. So Dr. Kalam was just not an eminent scientist, but also a great author who authored great books. The second statement here, his book, The Wings of Fire, is a great rendition, a great autobiography, right? So that book, his book here, right? His book, so that turns into a pronoun. So what we get is a pronoun here, right? So his book, it means it is book written by this man, this person, right? So his book, The Wings of Fire, is a great rendition, a great autobiography. Further, it was co-authored by Atul Tiwari. Right. We have a fourth statement: a man of humble beginnings and simple life, late Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam carried an unusual mix of spiritual convictions with man spirit of scientific inquiry. Now, if you observe here, name given to us here, right, and name again given to us here. So we see that we have full name given to us here on this statement, statement 4, and we have abbreviated name given to us here on this one, right? What is that you would want first? Short name, abbreviated name. This is name. This is name. So abbreviated name. So what we keep is, we say that first we will have the full name and then we will have the abbreviated name. It means we have 4 and 1 turning into one, one pair, right? What is that we are doing? We are trying to explore our patterns or strategies or mandatory pairs. How are they created? So one, we say that we will have noun. After that noun, we will have pronoun. We will have full name, and after that full name, we will have abbreviated name. Right? So it turns very simple. You might have found this out that you require here 4 1 to be together, right? And when you look at his book, so you would want 2 and then 3. That means 4 1 2 3 turns into your correct answer. So you will say that C is your correct answer, right? So the basic thing that we have learned here is a kind of a pattern formation. We will say that we want the noun first and then we want the pronoun. We want full name first and then we want the abbreviated name. So a very simple thing. So this we regularly, this we teach regularly in our classes, and this is what it gives us here, that we first want the full name and then we want the abbreviated name. We want the noun first followed by a pronoun, right? I hope you have the clear idea of pronouns. So pronouns are the words which are used in place of nouns. So he, she, it, right? He, she, it, right? They, them, right? All these are pronouns, right? So never start your statements with pronouns, right? If you have to convey a message, if you are inside a cab and you have to give instructions, right, and you happen to say that भैया उधर ले लो, उस डायरेक्शन में ले लो, or that will create confusion. No idhar, no udhar, no yahan, no wahan. You will give very clear instruction that turn right, turn left, right? Pronouns will occur afterwards. Moving further, we have here names, or this there's one more important thing here, right? So names or titles of books or research papers use inverted commas, and every first alphabet is in capitals, right? Except the prepositions, right? This is what you will observe. So if you see here, what you observe is that you have the name of the book, T capital, W capital, this O is not capital, this F is capital, right? So that's the same as what we do with the name of a person. So this is Atul Tiwari, right? Doctor, this D, this Kalam, right? So this, right? So it turns very similar to how do we treat name of a person. We maintain general to specific flow of information, right? That is also one more thing that we observe. So initially started to talking about, it gives very general viewpoint about the personality of one individual here, right? And then he gives that he was, the author gives that he was one author as well. All right. So we are moving from this general idea to a specific idea, right? So general is something which is very broad, right? So you can have impression of the general to be like this, right? So something which is broad is general, and something that turns narrow, specific, right, is this, right? So general to specific. So this is the normal flow of ideas. Fine. Moving further, we have here uh, there are some words which have been taken here. There's just three statements, right? So some of the words they appear to be blue because I've taken them from Wikipedia. So I was working on one definition, etc., and then all this is there. So it also gives us, I think, yes, it gives us that en.wikipedia.org, right? That so so we have three statements, and our task is to organize them in a logical sequence, right? So again, we will work on all those. We are working on the mandatory pairs, how to derive them, and how to think logically, right? And once you have gone through this, you would be in a position to sharpen your swords for the Parajumble section or Parajumble questions, right? All right. So you have one here. It says individual defines one person who has his limited boundaries, right? So a person defines, or a person says, right? Individual, right? So one person who has his limited boundaries, that is what is given to us. And then second statement says while happiness defines a state, right? So that is mental or emotional states, including positive or unpositive or pleasant emotions, ranging from contentment to intense joy. Right. So that is happiness. So we have here one that talks about the individual, one that talks about happiness. Right. That is what we observe. On the statement three, what you see is you have individual happiness. What do we see here is that statement 3 is made up of A and B, right? And then we would want to continue with the statement A first and then with the statement B next. It means you may have a compound word created, right? And on that compound word, whatever that occurs first would be defined first, whatever that occurs later, that would be defined afterwards. So we will have three, right? So three has individual, so we will have individual mentioned in our answer or in our sequence first. So we will keep 3, 1, and therefore your sequence will be 3, 1, 2, right? So B will turn into your answer here. It's very simple things. It's just that how do you observe, how do you look at the given information? We have three statements again. It gives us in India major rivers and their tributaries. So tributaries are, the rivers, the small rivers which flow along with them, right? So this is the main river, right? This Ganga, right? So Yamuna would be a tributary to Ganga. So in India, major rivers and their tributaries are in worst state, right? Countries, summits, singular entities talk about environmental stress. To get Ganga cleaned, Germany provided the maximum help, right? So what we observe here is that uh, there are countries, etc., right? Summits, all this. From this, what we find is that this environmental stress turns out to be a very general statement with respect to this. We find that major rivers, so rivers, etc., that turns out to be less general, right? Further, we have name of a river mentioned. So I hope you are able to follow that we have general to specific movement. From general, we are moving towards specific, right? First, the statements talked about environmental stress, so something negative which is going on our planet for the environment. So from that environment, we came to rivers, right? From river, we came to Ganga, right? So very simple observation, right? And you can keep the flow of the information. So you can say 2, 1, 3, right, would turn into your right sequence. So you will say E would be a good one here out of the three statements. So general to specific movement of ideas. Going further, we have this. uh, Here we have, for example, right? One sec. It says, for example, right? If I say that I went to market to buy vegetables such as, or for example, vegetables, for example, cauliflower, beans, onions, etc., right? All that. So what is that I'm saying? I'm saying vegetables. So vegetables is a more general term. So this is general, right? And all these names, they turn specific, right? So if you have countries, summits, etc., right? And then if we go towards this statement one, here we have the example of environmental stress, right? Because it says that rivers and tributaries are in worst state, right? And are reflecting the environmental stress, right? So it means we have this general thing, and this general thing is further, right, elucidated with one example. It means although on this particular question here, I'm not using the word for example, but we can use the word for example as well. So that's the impact of the word, or impact of the flow of information, or you can also say that for example is an indicator that will tell you the movement of ideas from general to specific. All right. In place of for example, you can also have word such as. All right. The word, I mean, such as, SUCH space AS, right? Such as. So very easily you can do this. So again, 213 remains your correct flow of idea here. You can All right, so we do not see. I think I read one word while somewhere, but I don't know. I missed that word. So, anyways, we'll come back to those things. So here it gives us that what do we observe when we say that there will be general to specific flow of information. So, to talk about general to specific flow of information, we'll have the first, the term, right? What the author wants to define, and then it's a definition. Term and then definition, right? A compound term, right? Compound term, and then it's a division into simpler terms, right? That's also general to specific from all to one, right? Fact, then example or analogy, right? So you have four kinds of, right, four kinds of general to specific flow of information. Moving further, we have here three statements again. It says he may fumble but follows the path of truth. One who is honest is a man of his words. The man is tested by times. Right. So we may say that this one, you know, it appears to be a kind of pronoun. Right. The man, right? The man, right? It turns very. It is used for specific uh, nature to indicate a specific nature. So it turns specific. Now, when we observe the, I happen to see a here, right? A man. So this also talks about general statement. It means it means we are going to have two, three, and one as our sequence, right? Two, three, and one. So for this a man and the man, we will have the pronoun used he, right? So very simple to follow. So we have two, three, one. So D is here, right? Very simple to follow. So it indicates now that the articles also help us. I'm so sorry. It says that articles also help us to notice, to note that how to organize the information. Moving further, we have here uh, one more set of ideas. So let's read it. It says, in the future, it says, in the future, you never know. It could be the world's number one. Right. So this number is repeated here. So world's number one. India started writing its story of a freedom, right, since 1947. Right. So today it has turned into the third largest economy in the world, right? So it is saying started, right? Uh, it should say started writing its story after freedom, right? After freedom, right? Since 1947. So this particular information we observe that it turns into a past information. Here it turns into a future information, right? So a logical sequence would be that we talk about the past, right? We talk about the past, then the present, and then the future, right? Then the future. That's the logical sequence of ideas, right? Of course, this turns easy to understand, right? So something that happened in the past, we first talk about that, then what is happening now, and then what we may expect to happen in the future. We'll talk about that. So, past, then the present, and then the future. That's the ideal way of conveying information. So, chronological order, right? So, that is also one kind of mandatory pair that we can say, or patterns and strategies, right? Mandatory pair, chronological order, right? Moving further, we have something more here. It says, those variants heal very, very. So, those here turns into, of course, a pronoun, right? Body pain, etc. But, right? From but, we observe the presence of transition words. So it tells us about the transition words. We can have two kinds of transition words. One would indicate similarity in the ideas, another one would talk about the contrast in the ideas, right? This similarity and this one is contrast. When we talk about the similarity, we can say that our vehicle is moving in one direction, say towards east. It reaches one circle, right? And from this circle, it continues in the same direction, right? So it was moving towards east, it continues in the same direction. That is a similarity. It means on this circle, we have various words indicating similarity are sitting. So you may have here similarity word such as which could be used for addition of information, right? On addition, you can talk about and, also in addition, etc. Additionally, moreover, right? Furthermore, you can have the example words, you can have similar comparison. So when we say similar comparison, we can have like, alike, similarly, right? Those words could be there, right? Example, you already know, for example, or such as, the word such as here, like, alike, similarly, in the same manner, right, etc. could be used. You can also have words which talk about cause and effect. So, cause, first we generally talk about cause and then the effect. So, that is also similarity. So, on cause words, you can have because, as, for, since, right? All these words could be there together. If we talk about effect, that is conclusion. So we can have various words here. So, hence, does, therefore, right? All these words could be there together. We can also have summary words. They also talk about similarity, right? Anyways, as in that's a detailed discussion. I think if you were there in my session yesterday, you can have the entire list of all these indicators. On the contrast words as well, we discussed that we can have words such as but, yet, however. These words talk about contrast, though, although, even though, on the contrary, on the other hand, in spite of, despite, right? All these words. So they talk about contrast. Then we also discussed words which talk about time and then they indicate contrast. So we did earlier, right? Initially, right? Initially, India was not free, right? Or now India is free. So that indicates that contrast. Now we can stack the information together, the relevant information together. So let's come back to this given statement. So it says that vitamin B has many variants, right? So it is talking about vitamin B, right? It is talking about vitamin B, many variants, right? And then we have those variants. Vitamins are required for healthy body, right? So vitamin, this turns general. So it means from vitamins we'll go to this vitamin B, and then we will go to this one. So that means 4, 3, 1, 2, right? So this but here, we also have news that excess of vitamins may damage vital organs such as kidneys or liver, right? So this is such as, it means for example. So it turns this simple the moment you have clarity about what to do and how to do, right? Of course, reading a lot helps you on solving parajumbles as well. So someone who's good at reading would just not be good at reading comprehension passages, would also be good at parajumbles. It's just that you have to observe these minute details and you would be able to come out of the questions. All right. So do not go to the examination hall with a preconceived notion or mind that I would not do the parajumble. It could be a case that you come across a parajumble question that is very easy to handle. So one kind of information together. So here, when we observe one kind of information together, we also find here that after but we have the negative information. So what we did was we compiled the positive information together, right? So for this positive, we got 4, 3, and 1. So the entire positive information was together and the negative information was there on 2, right? And therefore we said that it was 4, 3, 1, 2. So one kind of information together on the basis of tone or information. Or you can say the idea. What is the idea given? So one kind of idea together, one kind of a tone together, and then these similarity and contrast words, they help us in stacking the information which is of one kind together. All right. So moving further, we have certain statements. 10 statements are given here. And what we have to do is we have to suggest what kind of pattern or strategy or mandatory pair, right, do we use, right, for the statements given here, right? So the statements are here. We have the statements here. These are the statements or sentences, and these are the mandatory pairs, right? These are the mandatory pairs. So you have to select one kind of mandatory pair for one information. Okay, so 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 let's start from sentence 5, right? So she will be sanguine, that means healthy, ruddy, and sanguine is also used for optimist, right? So sentence 5, right? So she will be sanguine because she has joined yoga classes and practicing Zumba. All right. So she goes for Zumba. Right. She does Zumba and she has joined the yoga classes. Right. There's some reality in this sentence. So so we observe here because, right, and after because we will have the cause. We have this entire information acting as cause, and this sanguine, etc., she will be sanguine, this will turn into effect. So for statement 5 we can say that it is course of action, right? This course of action and cause and effect for statement 5, right? Let's look at the statement 1. It says, I love fruits. For example, I enjoy mangoes in summers. So that's like fruit. One, you can say general to specific. One is that. Second, you can say that it is a fact and then one example. A fact and then one example. So you can say that you can have H used for this one. So you can say H here for the first one. You can say J for the fifth one. Let's go to statement 2, sentence 2. It says Amir, that means Amir Khan, was loved by many. Now his place has been taken by others. So now it talks about time, right? It talks about time. It also talks about uh, what? The contrast indicator, right? So now, so it means for the statement 2, you can have C, right? Course of action, chronology, right? Or you can have this course of action, similarity and contrast indicators, right? So you can have F or C used for 2, right? F or C, right? If you go to statement 3, it says that Amir was loved by many. He gave many amazing movies. So, this loved by many, this turns into effect, right? He gave many amazing movies, right? That means a kind of a course of action, you can say, cause and effect, you can say, right? So, you can say, you can use J for third one, right? You can also say one kind of information together, right? He was loved by many and he gave amazing movies, right? That also you can say. Fine. So let's go to the next. We have already done sentence 5. So let's go to sentence 6. It says Rakesh K. Sharma, that's my name, right? So teaches these sessions. Mr. Sharma loves to experiment. So this is true. I love to experiment and I love to look at the information with the help of one magnifying glass, right? I want to resolve the challenges for the students, right? So that they can learn the things with a lot of ease and they can turn happy, right? This happiness is a very important word for me and I want to work for this. I am working on this, right? And with God's grace I would certainly be successful, right? And I had been always saying that, ask your friends to use this Rakesh for cat as a referral code. I might have told you the reasons as well, right? So he teaches these sessions, right? And he loves to experiment. What we observe here is that this is a full name, right? And this is one abbreviated name. This is abbreviated name. So we can have here, I kept that full name and abbreviated name, right? B you can use for the sixth statement. Very easy, statements I have collected here. There are further difficult questions, right? If time permits, we'll go to those questions or we'll do those questions in the future, right? So don't worry. Anyways, we have here Indian education has brought us to a negative state. Many graduates find it difficult to get jobs or settle down by compromising on their dreams, right? So many graduates, right? Negative state, it means negative and negative, right? Negative and negative. We can also have cause and effect relationship, right? We can say that the effect is here seen first, uh, and then it is giving a reason, right? So in other words, we can say that here what we observe is the opinion of the author, right? Opinion, and then he is giving explanation for this. He is giving explanation, right? So he is trying to substantiate it. So you can say that fact and then example for this particular information. You can also say one kind of information together from all these, right? So we can keep safely H here. Let's go to let's go to the next statement, and that statement is in the beginning. Uh, Sorry, it should be I worked on A, right? These days I'm working on B. In the future I plan to work on C, and so on. So chronological order, very simple. So chronology, we kept that on C. Then we have ninth one, which says playing a game is good. The game must be followed consistently, right? So it is further giving us uh, playing a game, right? And the game. So it's like a and the, etc. So specific to general to specific. So we have I here, right? We'll keep I for this. We have diabetes is a general problem. Maintaining a good life can be a solution, right? So it is saying problem and solution, that kind of combination, right? That could be kept here. So first we talk about the problem and then the solution, right? So you can keep E for this one, right? And so you can create your own things as well, your own formula, right? My basic purpose was that you are able to revise everything that is related to Parajumbles, right? And you are able to use these mandatory pairs or these kind of a pattern formation for Parajumble. So all those students who used to fear Parajumbles or odd one out, do not do so. Just revise, just work on these basic things. You would be able to come out of the questions with a lot of ease, right? We have some questions here, right? Due to shortage of time, I would not be in a position to explain them, right? So we will discuss them further, right? Uh, question further, question further. You can simply have a look at these questions. You can send your answers in the comment box, and then I'll help you out further, right? So you can pause the video, you solve the question, send your answers, and then I'll help you further on these questions. All right, so that's all from my side for today, right? I would want that if you liked the session, right? If all these stepping stones have been covered, all the basic things have been covered here, right? Do let me know, right? And do do write comments and share these sessions with your friends so that they can also get help, right? So do, what is that people say, like, comment, right? And share, right? So this, of course, you have to do: like, comment, and share. Do that. These are the three things which I would want. If you're already there on Unacademy, right, do follow, right? If you are not there, then subscribe. If you know, you can also share this entire thing with your friends, right? And if you are already there, you have seen my sessions, etc., right? Give hearts, and all the best. One more thing, one last thing that I want to tell you, that there are regular classes which happen on Unacademy, and I want to give you the timings again. So the timings are here, right? So the regular classes, right? Regular classes happen at 10 a.m. I mean, my regular classes, and 2 p.m. Special classes 12:30, right? And at night 10, right? YouTube sessions at 6 or 8 p.m., right? So do not forget to follow these timings, right? Block these timings if you want to learn something. You can come here and you can see, you can, if you are there on regular sessions, right, you can download the PDF and can go through those PDFs, right? Fine. So all the best. Work very, very hard, right? And achieve your goals. All the best. Bye bye.